Hi, it's great to be here. And haven't we had a fun, interesting day here in Auckland? We've gone from beautiful summer heat through to thunderstorms and rain. And as many of you know, we actually live on a lifestyle block, and our creek burst its banks again today, and Simon was off down the creek on the quad bike because we had the cattle down there. So it's been a pretty busy day for us here on the farm, as well as wrapping up things, getting ready for the festive season. Now, I'm sure it's been the same for you guys as well, because we have all got so much stuff going on, so much is happening, and we're all trying to juggle everything and wrap it all up so that we're actually ready to go when it gets to Santa coming down the chimney. So look, it's really great. Thank you very much for joining us in our wrap-up live on surviving the festive season with your relationship and your finances intact. I'm Linda Moore, the Money Mentalist, and what we're going to talk about this evening is just 3 or 4 key points that can help you reduce stress and get you into 2019 maybe in better shape than you are right now. So when we started this live series, we had 82 days until Christmas. Good grief, where have they gone? Because we're now down to just 5 more sleeps. So just to check in, where are you? Where are you on the stress scale? 1, you're cool, you're chilled, you're ready to slide gracefully into Christmas Day. Or are you a 10? Is your to-do list still this long and you have no idea how you're going to get it all done and you are feeling somewhat frazzled? Me, I'm probably sitting around about 3.5 to a 4. I'm feeling pretty well under control. In fact, I actually did check my little Christmas to-do list, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it here, but most of it has got little red lines through it, which means it's done. And yes, I did change the names to protect the innocent of maybe friend C that I haven't quite caught up with yet. So how's your checklist looking? Now, I love to-do lists, so maybe you're not quite like this. You might have a little mental one. So 1 to 10, chill or frazzled? A couple of days ago, I was definitely at the frazzled end of the scale. So Simon is going to pop a link up any second now, so that at any stage through this live, if something triggers with you and you go, hey, I really would love to talk to you about this further, you can click the link and that will take you straight to our calendar, and you can book a 30-minute complimentary Zoom or Skype with me, and we can have a conversation and we can work through whatever it is that's just triggered on your brain right now. So, enough of the intro. What are we going to talk about? Well, first of all, what are the 3, which I've actually updated to 4, most common stresses at this time of the year? So I did a little bit of research and a little bit of looking around, and it was really interesting. And so I've done a very unscientific meta-analysis of the blogs and articles that I went through over the last few days and have come up with 4 things. First of all, I guess it goes without saying, doesn't it? Money is a huge stressor at this time of the year. Eating and drinking. Again, it probably goes without saying, doesn't it? We all know we tend to overindulge a bit at this time of the year. Family. And the 4th one that I've actually added to the list is time. So let's just talk about these in a little bit more detail. So why is it that money causes us so much stress at this time of the year? Well, there's this thing about buying gifts. Who do we buy for? How much are we going to spend on them? What happens if someone buys us a gift and we haven't bought them one? Do we have to race out and buy one? What do we do? How do we handle that sort of thing? Keeping up with the Joneses is huge at this time of year, particularly that we have social media and Instagram, where you see beautiful pictures of Christmas trees. Now, I don't know about you, but in our family, we have a WhatsApp family group. We were actually ranking each other's Christmas trees. I think we scored about a 6 this year, and I'm pretty proud of that. It's certainly better than we've done in the past. But it's not just the trees, is it? It's your lights, it's the decorations, and it's the presents under the tree. There is a lot of pressure on us to keep up with the Joneses. And maybe we can't actually do it, but as a really good quote that I read one day said, we're so busy keeping up with the Joneses, but maybe the Joneses are broke as well. So a lot of competition, social comparison is what it's called. Food and the cost of food. So all of this yummy stuff that we don't seem to see the rest of the year pops up, doesn't it? Now, a little danger for me is those lovely Danish shortbread biscuits and the Walker biscuits, and they're just everywhere. There's biscuit tins all over the place, licorice, all sorts, all these gorgeous chocolates. Not to mention heading into the supermarket and seeing the hams and the turkeys and the beautiful seafood and produce and everything that we're supposed to have on our Christmas table. Well, for a start, I don't know how we can eat it all, but grocery budgets do tend to go through the roof a bit at this time of year as well. So I decided I was going to go shopping yesterday. I do not want to have to deal with the crowds at the weekend. Had my list, went off to the supermarket, got to the checkout and got to the end of it and went kind of, whoa, that was a bit more, quite a bit more than I'd anticipated. But then I thought to myself, hang on, that's okay, because I won't have to go shopping until next year. Now that is one of the things we talked about in one of our earlier lives about justifying. So I justified to myself that I'd spent a lot of money yesterday, but I promised I wasn't going to go shopping for at least 2 weeks. So I will check in a couple of weeks and I'll let you know whether that actually worked or not. And I'm guessing you may well have done the same, or maybe you're going to go and do it and battle all the crowds over the weekend. We over-cater as well, don't we? I think I've got more in my freezer right now. I could probably feed a small army if one ever needed anything. And then, of course, the money pressure. We hit January, and that's when reality bites. There's either not a lot in our bank account because we've been on leave, or the credit card arrives in the post, or it pings up in your email. And a natural kind of reaction is, I don't want to look at it right now because maybe it's a little bit scary. So money is a huge cause of stress at this time of year. And let's face it, it can be at the rest of the year as well. It's not just exclusive to now. So what about the eating and drinking? Now, we eat pretty healthy. We're pretty good at watching portion size and watching what we eat and how we mix all our foods. I don't know about you, but that went out the window a couple of weeks ago. We've had lots of friends over, we've had lots of visitors. We've actually had some workaways coming to stay with us to help us work on the farm. And I seem to have spent half of my life in the kitchen making biscuits, cooking Christmas cakes. Just a lot of focus on food. We haven't even got to Christmas Day yet. And I know, again, here comes the justification and the rationalisation. I promise I'll be better from the 1st of January. So again, another one of those justifications. I promise to be good later. But right now, it's Christmas. It's a great excuse to overindulge. And the big one that came up in what I was reading today was the one too many at social functions, and maybe having to rock up to work the next day when you've been the one dancing on the tables. A little bit embarrassing, but again, it's Christmas. We can kind of get away with it. Family. Now, family is another one that's a big stress at Christmas time. And maybe it's because there's just too much of it. And if you don't see people all of the year round, there's those awkward little conversations. You know, Auntie Jean comes to you and says, "Oh, how's John?" And you broke up with John in March. You've got to think about these kind of things. Or the comparisons again between you and how well you've done in 2018 and cousin John. What's he been up to?
Can you check the sound? I'm not sure the sound.
Okay, so apparently we might have some patchy sound going on. So Simon's just popped in to help clarify. We're just doing a bit of an unplug and a replay. So bear with us. Technology
Can you ask them to text it?
So if you are on the live at the moment and you are having some problems hearing, can you just pop a message? I've got Simon monitoring things just out in the other room there, and if there are any problems or if you can hear me clearly, just let me know about that as well. Okay, so let's just get back to our little family stresses. Too much, awkward conversations, maybe a few arguments that haven't quite been resolved from last year, and that question of, oh, what am I doing with my life? And I really don't want to spend too much time with these people. And then for others, of course, there's the other end of the spectrum where it's just there's not enough or there is no family, because we all know that Christmas can be a very, very lonely time for some people. So maybe just a little bit of a check-in. Maybe if you've got a bit of time on Christmas Eve or sometime over the weekend, go and visit a couple of neighbours. Check in with them, particularly if you know that they are alone. Go and make them a cup of tea, take them a biscuit, something like that. But just try and do something that's going to lift their loneliness, and it will make you feel good as well. So don't forget, it's just not about our families, but there's a lot of people there who have no family and no one to spend this really special time with. So if any of this has kind of raised any questions and you're starting to freak out a little bit, hop on the link and book a call with us and we can have a chat. Now, those were the kind of core 3 common stresses, and I've added a 4th. I've added time to that list because I don't know what it is at this time of year, but we all turn into Superman and Superwoman. Our to-do lists are far too long. We expect so much more of ourselves than at any other time of the year. And I don't know why we do this, because the 25th of December happens every year. It's been happening to me for a very long time. And as I said, 82 days when we started this Facebook Live, I diligently wrote my list. I've been checking away at it, but I know I'm still not going to get there. Why do we put this pressure on ourselves? I really don't get it, but we do it, don't we? The other thing that tends to disappear at this time of the year, which can be quite stressful, is we lose that me time. It's what do we do for ourselves that helps us relax and recharge. Maybe for you it's going for a walk, playing sport, going to the gym. For me, it's time playing the piano, and I have a goal of playing 4 times a week. That's all, just 4 little 30-minute segments. I've been lucky to squeeze in 1 over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And boy, I know it. I know I haven't had that me time, and that brings that stress level up a little bit. So sorry guys, there will be no Christmas carols from me on Christmas Day, just not enough time to do any practice on it. And part of the time pressure too is around that travel and meeting family expectations and racing around like a headless chook over the next few days to make sure that you actually catch up and you are where you're expected to be and you're meeting everybody else's expectations. We did manage to catch a little bit of TV, I think it was last night, and it was the Christmas special for that TV show Eat Well for Less. Now, I don't know if any of you managed to see it. We caught the tail end of it, and I find that a fascinating show. I do try and watch it when I can. But the gist of what I got about this family in the UK was they spent £1,400 on the food for Christmas. Now, if they spent that much on food, goodness knows what's on gifts and all the other ancillary bits and pieces. They don't talk about that. But £1,400, that's an awful lot of money. Now, a lot of that food was then wasted because they weren't that fantastic at being able to use leftovers, so a lot of the leftovers were going in the bin, so there was a lot of wastage going on. It was also established through the show that Dad was working a lot of overtime to earn the money to get the food on the table. So he was sacrificing time with his family to spend $1,400 on food for one day, but a lot of it got wasted. Now, I don't know if you were like me, but I'm sitting there going, I don't get this. I really don't understand this. But that's what they'd done for years. And I guess it's when you get into this habit and you get into the cycle, that's kind of what we do. So the two experts came in and they did their usual swap stuff out and all of this sort of thing. And at the end of their practice run for Christmas, they had saved this family £862. Now imagine how much time that also freed up for Dad to spend with his family before Christmas. So really think hard about that too. How much pressure are you putting on yourself by not utilising your time and your money well enough? So moving along, why is it that money hits us like nothing else at this time of year? Look, you've heard me say this on numerous occasions, and sorry, guys, I'm going to say it again. Money is emotional. And we use money in ways that it was never intended to be. Money is a tool, but when we add emotion to it, we use money to show love, to show we care. Sometimes we withhold it to show we don't care. We use it to boost our self-esteem, and we use it for power and control in numerous other ways. And these behaviours and these emotions tend to kick in even more than they do at any other time of the year. The other reason that money kicks us in the gut so much is that the financial fallout from it, i.e. the January credit card bill, can take quite a long time to get over, depending on how much of a blowout that you've had. You could still be paying for Christmas in June, for example, if you don't get savvy and if you don't get smart about it. Now, we all have money personalities, and we did a whole week in our 82 Days Surviving Festive Season all about money personalities and how they impact on how you spend. Now, at this time of year, spenders, look, you're just having a ball because there is so much choice, there's so much excitement, there's so many things hitting us, buy, and spenders love that. And quite often it's not on them, it's on other people. Hoarders, they're potentially going to shut down and just go, I do not want to know, I just don't want to do this, I don't want to get involved. And those who are money avoiders, depending what their secondary is, they could go either way. They could go into shop till you drop mode, or I don't want to know about it. And the masses amongst us, well, this time of year is a great time to show off our wealth and what we've achieved. So money personalities kick in really strongly now. And if you're in a relationship and you're with your polar opposite, as we've also talked about and we're going to come back to in a minute, ooh, that can create some fireworks at home as well. And as we've talked about, keeping up with the Joneses, that is huge at this time of the year. So it's really important to know what is enough for you and your family so you don't get caught up in all of that hype of keeping up with the Joneses. Now, we also did a whole series on spending psychology, and I'm not going to touch on that now, but go back and have a look at some of our earlier lives where I talk about things like anchoring and framing and some of those things, because they also impact on why money can get so difficult for us at this time of the year. And then, of course, there's the credit card shock in January and the good grief, what have we done and where has all of the money gone? If you're watching this and you are starting to freak out a little bit because you think you may well be in for a shock in January, have a look at that link. You can click it now, you can make a time in January, you can make it in the days in between Christmas and New Year. It's a complimentary 30-minute conversation with me, and I can help give you some guidance and some tools to help get over the money hit next time round. Why is money the number one cause of relationship conflict? Again, same thing. Money is emotional. And in our relationships, we bring with us our beliefs from previous relationships, from our family. And if you as a couple don't talk about those, as soon as you start to get stressed and as soon as pressure hits, the fireworks can start in not a good way. So the thing here is talking. It's communicating. This is not yelling. This is not avoiding. This is actually making time to have a conversation and talk about what is going on with your money. Family expectations are huge. You might have come from a family that doesn't buy gifts. Your partner comes from a family where gifts are really important. The only way you're going to resolve those types of things is by talking about it. So again, in the planning phase, when you're looking at what you want to achieve over the festive season, how much you want to spend and who you're going to buy for and what you're going to do, as a couple, sit down and have a conversation. Now, I have had it usually is the women come up to me and just go, but my partner, he's so busy, he doesn't care, he doesn't mind, he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Okay, if that's the position, then that's putting a lot of responsibility on you. You still need to have that little conversation and tap him on the shoulder and go, hey, honey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. He doesn't have to come shopping with you, or she doesn't have to come shopping with you. You can do that yourself, but don't let them delegate responsibility totally. Don't give them that shock in January and then just turn and say, but honey, you said it was fine, because it may not have been fine really. They were just in a bit of a rush. Different money personalities. Polar opposites at this time of the year can get into conflict. Now, a polar opposite, for example, is a hoarder and a spender. You can understand why. Spender wants to spend. Hoarder wants to look after the money. They're not that great at spending. That can cause conflict unless you understand where those personalities come from and the beliefs that back them up. Once you get that, and once you understand it and you can talk about it, polar money personalities are an incredibly strong combination. You can make very powerful, good financial decisions by harnessing the positives of those personalities rather than fighting about the differences. And as I've mentioned, different expectations and different beliefs that you bring from childhood. So a really good way to talk about these sorts of things is don't do it now. I mean, 5 small steps, probably leaving it a bit late. But maybe when you're sitting on the beach over Christmas, or you're having a little bit of time down and chilling out, maybe in winter, actually sit down and talk about what it was like growing up in your family around money. What did your parents do? How did they react to this? And get to understand each other's money personalities and money beliefs a lot better. It will help you get through this season with a lot less fights. And by the way, if you are a couple watching this right now, 10th of December was the day where most arguments occur for couples. Sorry guys, the next one is going to be around about the 14th or 15th of January when the bills start to come in. So prepare yourself for that. Take some time over Christmas and have a chat about it. So what are you going to do differently next year? How are you not going to end up in the same boat? I'm not quite sure if that's quite grammatically correct, but kind of makes sense to me. Because you don't want to be in this boat next year, do you? You want to be sailing. You want to be a 1 on our stress scale. You want to be chilled. You want to be relaxed. You want to kind of feel prepared and ready to go. So here we go. Here are your to-do list for January. Talk to each other. Have the money conversation. Get to know your money personalities. You can hop onto our website and take our money personality quiz for free. Both of you do it and then compare each other's. If you want to talk more about it, book one of those complimentary sessions with me. I'll happily go through it with you. It's actually a lot of fun. Talking about money doesn't have to be stressful, okay? I'll say that again. Talking about money does not have to be stressful. You want it to be fun and engaging because that's how you make better financial choices. Planning. I know we all have to plan, and as I said, I'm a list person. I love my lists. I love crossing things off lists. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. Maybe you do like to have it in your head. Maybe you want post-it notes. I don't know. Whatever it is that is going to work for you in terms of a plan, start early. We'll start buying Christmas gifts probably in March or April. We see bits and pieces and we tuck them away in what we call our present cupboard. Now sometimes I get a bit of a pleasant surprise because I've actually forgotten that I've bought things, and 2 years later we pull something out and go, oh, that's interesting. So that happens, but start planning early. Get ahead of the game. Know where you're going to do, what did you want to do. Have a debrief when you're sitting on the beach. Hopefully that's what we'll be doing. Sit on the beach and get out the pen and paper and do the debrief and go, hey, didn't we have a great time when we did this? Wasn't that fun? And didn't this work really well on Christmas Day? Didn't this work well for the holidays, for the school holidays? And just go through and do the things that worked really well for you. Then flip it over and go, okay, what didn't work so well? Did you put yourself under too much time pressure? Were you being Superman and Superwoman and you just woke up on Christmas morning absolutely shattered and you really didn't care what day it was? You just wanted sleep. Now, I'm, I guess, really lucky in some ways. I have an early warning system called my throat. And I know when I'm pushing too hard and trying to get too much done and being Superwoman, my throat gets sore, and that tells me I have to slow down. So when my throat packed up on Sunday for me, I knew I had to prioritise. I had to look at my list and go, realistically, what is going to get done? What isn't? Stop being Superwoman and actually just chill out a little bit. And I'm sure there's lots of you who have your own early warning systems as well that tell you when you're doing too much. So listen to them and think about that in your debrief as maybe something that you didn't handle quite so well. It's got to be in here, guys. I'm really sorry. But you must look at your numbers. If you do not want the credit card shock, the empty bank account, the fights about who spent what and who was the one who spent too much money, you must look at your numbers. I suggest you do this about the middle of January. And what I want you to do is go back to, say, October, or whenever things started popping up in the stores and maybe you started buying things and the social events started cropping up. Every single thing that is related to the festive season, write it down. Add it up. The food, the social events, the lights, the Christmas tree, the baubles that you bought, the secret Santas for work, the things for children at school. Every single cent you spent getting ready and enjoying the festive season, and that's probably going to take you right through to maybe the 7th of January. You are probably going to get a shock because there will be things on that list that you may not have identified as being part of the festive season. So you might start, you might take a bit of time over this, but if you do nothing else, this is the most important exercise for you to do. Total that number. You are allowed 10 seconds to beat yourself up. That's it. It's happened. You've done it. Get over it. But what you are going to do is you are going to take that total number, whatever it is, and you're going to divide it by 11, because you've got 11 months until it all starts again. You know the 25th of December is coming. You know how far away it is on the 15th of January. So whether you want to do it weekly, whether you want to do it daily, I really don't care, but you want to divide that amount up. Then you hop onto your online banking and you open up a little account called Christmas, or holidays, or festivities, or whatever you want to call it, and you start tucking money away into that account in January. Then 11 months later, one of your biggest Christmas stresses will be gone, and that is money. If you do that, you will be a one. You will be able to glide into Christmas relaxed, chilled out, and knowing that you're not going to get a nasty shock on the 15th of January. So there you go. That's our wrap up for our surviving the festive season with your finances and your relationships intact. There is the link below. Please, if anything has triggered, make use of that 30-minute complimentary consult with me. I'm here to help you. I don't want you to be stressed and in the same position as you were last year. Now, Simon has just popped in because we do have some questions. Excuse me. Oh, okay, I love this one. How can I get my partner on board? The first thing to do with that is, even if they don't take the money personality quiz, try and get a sense, do it yourself, and we'll give you what all the personalities are. Try and understand what their money personality is, because this will give you a really good feel as to why they're not getting on board. As I said, it might be because they're an avoider and it's just all too hard. Maybe they are the hoarder and they just don't want to spend. So understand that. And then I've said, have the conversation about, what is it that's important to them? It may not be gifts. We have, I talked about it again on one of the lives, we have 5 love languages. Now, only one of those 5 is about gifts. So maybe for this festive season, they're not on board because that's not their love languages. It's just not connecting with them. Maybe for them, it's actually just quality time. All they want is a bit of time with you. So find out what their money personality is. Find out what their love language is. You may just not be hitting it. And then have that conversation about why is it that they don't want to come on board? Was Christmas just not good in their household? I mean, we all have different circumstances. We all have different situations and we all take different meanings from it. So while you might be in hyperdrive and it might be super exciting for you, there may be something there that you just haven't found out about yet. But if they still, after all that, don't want to get on board, then just say, okay, honey, I'm going to take responsibility. This is what I'm going to do with you. Is this okay? And if they go, yes, that's okay, then you then have permission, and I know that's a kind of strong word within a partnership, within a relationship, but you then have permission to actually go and manage and do whatever it is that you need to do so that your needs are met at this time of year. And hopefully, bar humbug at home, you'll kind of get into the flow of things because it's all about your enjoyment and your family's enjoyment. It's not just one person. Why is it just Christmas that makes me stressed? And I think that's because it is just that once a year thing. I mean, it is, everything seems to lead to this one day of the year, doesn't it? All of these deadlines, talking to some clients who are tradies, and they go, we don't understand it. Someone decides in November that they have to have their kitchen renovated for Christmas. They have to get into the new house for Christmas. All of these things, we seem to set this line in the sand, and because we don't think about Christmas in June, we don't plan. And I think that's why it becomes so stressful. And let's face it, marketing certainly goes up a gear, doesn't it? And it starts a lot earlier. And I know for people who have young children, it gets harder and harder and harder because from October, 82 days for a child is a very, very long time. And keeping them engaged and keeping them, not, when's he coming, is it here yet? And all of those kind of things just adds to your stress level. And for some reason, as I said, we all think we're Superman, Superwoman, and we put far too much on our to-do list when there are actually days called the 26th of December forward. So I think we just overestimate what we can achieve, and then we beat ourselves up when we don't achieve it. So just chill a little bit. And how can I get out of my stressed feeling? Generally, I think if we are feeling stressed, it's because we aren't getting that me time. We're not doing whatever it is that actually recharges us. Maybe you're not getting enough sleep because there's a lot of activities going on, there's a lot of stuff happening, and you might be trying to burn the candles at both ends. Sleep is the biggest thing that will cause you stress at this time of year, so get a good night's sleep. We don't eat well, so our poor old bodies are going like this, trying to churn all the food and all the extra stuff that we're throwing in it. We're probably going more sugar in our bodies, all of these kinds of things. So try and have those clean eating days, those non-drinking days to let your body get back into balance. So sleeping, eating, drinking lots of water, okay? Hydrating, keeping hydrated, that's really important too. So there's a lot of these things that in the pressure of getting everything finished for Christmas, we forget about ourselves. So make sure when you are doing your planning, book the me time, book the downtime, even if it's just for a 10-minute walk or reading a book, listening to some music, watching a TV program, playing the piano, whatever it is for you, make sure you build that into those 82 days.
I've got another one.
Oh, sorry. So Simon's just popped on with another one. I know you've touched on this before, but how do I talk to my wife about money? This is an incredibly broad question and one that's really difficult to generalise on because we generally find that there are two ends of the spectrum, okay? So when couples talk about money, they are going to be at one end or the other. What we have is we have couples who, when they try and talk about money, it ends up in a fight, it ends up in an argument. Now, sometimes those arguments are about money, but quite often they're not. Money is a really easy thing to argue about, but sometimes there's other things going on underneath the relationship, and money, even being able to talk about money and fix the money, that sometimes doesn't always help the relationship, and it may be that you need to have some relationship counselling. Okay, so that's kind of one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum are couples who never finish the conversations about money, or maybe they don't even start them. And they avoid talking about money because they don't want to hurt each other. They don't want to say, no, honey, I'm really sorry, but I'd rather you didn't go and spend that money because we have X, Y, Z. But going on in our mind, we're going, oh, but they work really hard and they deserve it and I can see how excited. So I won't say no, and you become more stressed about money. So there's a lot of unsaid things. There's a lot of unfinished conversations going on there. And depending where you are in that spectrum is really what the answer is to that question. If you are avoiding, then the conversation is coming from a position of love, okay? That's the key thing to hang on to, is that you really love your partner, but there are some things that are going on in your financial life that is causing you or both of you stress. And don't just launch into it. Set aside some time. Let them know, but not in a you are spending too much money type of way. It's that kind of, look, I'm a little bit concerned, maybe you are too. Can we just sit down and just have a chat? Can we just look at what we're doing? Can we talk about our plans? That kind of conversation. Don't make it about me and you. Make it about us. And this time of year is actually really good because everyone's going New Year's resolutions, aren't they? Do some planning together. Sit down and go, what do we want to achieve this year? I was talking to a lovely lady earlier this week, and she kind of knows that her husband really wants to have that conversation. She's really heightened her awareness because she knows she's been doing a little bit more spending maybe than she normally would. She can sense that he's a little bit stressed about it. She doesn't know how to raise it. He doesn't know how to raise it, okay? But they are very, very much in love, and they are a very strong couple. It just takes one of you to start the conversation and go, hey, honey, I'm just a little bit concerned about where we're heading financially. Can we talk about it? If you're at the other end and it ends in an argument, try that same approach. If it's not working for you, the best thing I can suggest is get a third party, i.e. someone like me, and actually help facilitate those conversations, because quite often bringing a third person in and really identifying what the issues are can make that conversation go a lot more smoothly, so it doesn't go down that track of anger, confrontation and storming off and not talking to each other, and it just being going, I just can't deal with this anymore. And, you know, as what happens in some cases, you kind of leave the relationship rather than try and work on it. When it comes to money, it is always worth working on your relationship, because fix the money, you can have an amazing relationship. So I don't know who this was, but please, if this is an issue for you, jump on and book that call, and I can talk to you more personally about what might be going on for you. So I think that might be all of the questions. I haven't seen Simon pop in with any more. Gosh, my golly, we have talked a little bit longer than I've anticipated, but I really do appreciate you giving up some of your time on a Thursday evening when I'm sure you have got a lot of other things to do. So that's us wrapping up the surviving the festive season with your financials and your relationship intact. We are going to continue the conversations around money. We'll be jumping online. The Money Personality Quiz is available to do for free. The call, that link will stay on our Facebook page, so you can book a call and have a chat with us. We will still be writing blogs and videos, and we would love to hear from you to see what you get up to over Christmas. We're going to take a little bit of chill out time, but we will be back very soon. Once again, I really appreciate you joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. to share with you this evening. Have a fantastic Christmas and New Year wherever you are and whatever it is that you're doing. So that's all from us for now. Have a fantastic time. Bye.